Hi everyone, welcome to your first day of online learning. I hope all of you had a great spring break. Now for this week, we will make it easier for you. We are just going to review what we have learned 2 weeks ago. And it's right over here. It says, I can identify parts of an algebraic expression. I can also classify polynomials. Now if you can see the words in blue, I'm sure all of you know this already, but it's a good time for us to review. So let's start. So the first one is called a variable. Now, a variable is a symbol for a number we don't know yet, and it's usually a letter. So an example would be the letter A, the letter B, the letter C, all the way up to letter Z. Okay, so this is a variable, so just remember that. Now, a coefficient is a number used to multiply a variable. So an example would be 3a, or 4m, or negative 11z, okay? And what does this mean? This actually means 3 times a. This one actually means 4 times m. This one actually means negative 11 multiplied by z, okay? So, just to go through again, the coefficient is a number used to multiply a variable. So, in this example here, the coefficient is 3. The coefficient is 4. The coefficient is negative 11. And what is a variable again? A variable is usually a letter. So in this case, 3a variable is the letter A, the letter M, and the letter Z. Okay? Now, the next one is a constant. So a constant is a number on its own. So an example would be the number 6, the number 9, the number negative 4, the number 5, okay? These are just numbers or integers that is just on its own. There is no variable next to it. Are we good? All right. The next one, an exponent. An exponent is a number written small to the top right corner of a number. So an example would be this: 3 to the power of 2. And what does this mean? This means 3 times 3, which is 9. The next one, what if I give you an example that is 3 to the power of 3? It is actually 3 times 3 times 3. We know that 3 times 3 is 9, so what's 9 times 3? 27. So let's read this again. An exponent is a number written small to the top right corner of a number. So in this example, my exponent is actually the number 2. This is my exponent. How about 3 to the power of 3? My exponent is actually the number 3. Okay? Now that we know what a variable is, now that we know what a coefficient is, and now that we know what a constant is, we can put all of them together and we can actually get an expression. So, an example would be if I say 4s, okay? Or I would say 4s plus 2. Or I would say 4s squared plus 3s plus 4. Okay? Or I could write 5q4 plus 4q3 plus 3q2 plus 1. These are expressions because if you read it here, it says numbers, symbols, and operators grouped together that show the value of something. So these are called expressions. Now, this is actually a very good segue to the word terms, because terms are usually numbers or letters that are separated by a plus or a minus, let's say. So this one is one term. This one is two terms. This one is three terms. 1, 2, and 3. This one, how many terms do you think there are? Now, if you guess 4 terms, you are correct. 1 term, 2 term, 3 term, and 4 terms. These are called 4 terms. Now, we all know the names of all these terms, right? So I'm gonna go through again with you. If this is a 1 term, this expression is called a monomial. If it's 2 terms, this is called a binomial. If it's 3 terms, it is called a If it's 3 terms, this is called a trinomial. And if it's more than 3 terms, it is called a polynomial. Sounds good? Now, we are going to practice a few questions, and that is it for today. So, this is our last section of our lesson. So as you can see, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 questions. There are 5 expressions. And as you can see, I want all of you to figure out what is the variable, what's the coefficient, what's the exponent, what's the constant, and what is the name. Okay? So for the first one, 3m, what do you think my variable would be? If you say that the variable for 3m is 3, you are correct. How about coefficient? Oh, sorry, I'm not correct. Again, a variable is a letter. So if you said that my variable was m, you are correct. How about coefficient? My coefficient is actually the number 3. How about exponent? Now, you don't see a number on the top right corner here, but there's actually an invisible 1. So I'm just gonna put number 1 here. So because of that, my exponent here is actually 1. Do I have a constant? It says over here, constant is a number on its own. Is there a constant over here? No. So it's 0. Now, how many terms are there? There is only 1, so because of this, what is the name of this expression? If you say it is a monomial, well done. How is this so far? Pretty good? All right, so let's look at the second question, r plus 6. Now, let's look at the variable. What is the variable for r plus 6? A variable is usually a letter. If you said r, you are correct. Now, for coefficient, coefficient is a number used to multiply a variable. Technically, there is the number 1 next to r. So because of this, my coefficient is 1. How about exponent? Just like the letter m, there is an invisible exponent over there as well. So my exponent is 1. How about my constant? In this case, my constant is a number on its own. So it's positive 6. So I'm going to ask you, what is the name of this expression? If you said it was binomial, well done. All right, 3 more questions to go, so hang in there. Now the third question, negative 4x squared minus 9. So if we look at the variable again, what is my variable here? It is x. What is my coefficient? My coefficient is the number next to my variable. So in this case, my coefficient is -4. What's my exponent? My exponent is the number 2. And how about my constant? My constant is a number on its own. So in this case, it is -9. What is the name of this expression? There are 2 terms. So it's called a binomial. All right. Now, the next question. -10y cubed plus 9y squared plus 1. So, what's my variable in this case? My variable is y. What's my coefficient? There are actually 2 coefficients in this case. So my first one is -10, and my next one is +9. So there are 2 coefficients. How about my exponent? Now for exponent, there is the number 3 and the number 2. How about my constant? My constant is a number on its own. So in this case, it is 1. How many terms are there? 1, 2, 3. So it's called a trinomial. All right, last but not least, let's look at the last one. 11p cubed q squared plus 6p squared q plus 5p minus 1. So in this case, what is my variable? My variable is the letter p and the letter q. What's my coefficient? There are 3 coefficients. There is the number 11, there is the number 6, and there's a number 5. What's my exponent? You see the number 3, you see the number 2, you see the number 2, and again, there is an invisible 1 and a 1 over here as well. So it's 3, 2, 2, 1, and 1. What's my constant? My constant is a number on its own. So in this case, it is -1. How many terms are there? 1, 2, 3, 4. In this case, this is called a polynomial. So, just as a review, a variable is a symbol for a number that we don't know yet. It is usually a letter. So in this case, it is the letter M, the letter R, the letter X, the letter Y, Y, P, Q, and P. That one is my variable. My coefficient is a number used to multiply a variable. So it's usually the number next to the variable. So coefficient in this case is 3. My coefficient is 1. My coefficient is -4. My coefficient is -10 and +9. My coefficient is 11, +6, and +5. My exponent is a number written small to the top right corner of a number. So in this case, my exponent is the number 1, is the number 1, is the number 2. My exponent is 3, 2, 3, 2, 2, 1, and 1. And it says over here, constant is a number on its own. So in this case, there is no constant here, so it's 0. It's +6, it's -9, it's +1, and it's -1. And last but not least, we can name all these expressions just by counting the number of terms. So in this case, this is 1 term, so it's called a monomial. This is 2 terms, so it's called a binomial. This is 3 terms, so it's called a trinomial. And this is more than 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. More than 3 terms is called a polynomial. And that's it for today. I hope all of you have a great Monday, and take care.